Hey, real quick before we start this video, on Tuesday, March 4th, we have our second triple win-a-box for the Fusion World card game. Online client, top 8 prizing, and $8 entry. We have a couple spots left, so make sure to check it out if you guys haven't already, and enjoy the video. Hey everyone, Egman here with another video, and there's been a big update for the online client of the Fusion World card game for the first anniversary for the game, and part of that is the first anniversary qualifier tournament that's currently going on right now. So I am going to go over what that means in the update in case you guys miss it or you don't know what's going on with it, but also the main focus for this video is going over a couple of deck lists that I've been able to collect from people who went 6-1 and better in their run for the qualifier tournament. So you can find all these deck lists on my website, Egman Events, which is linked in the description. You can just go to event type online first anniversary, and you can see I've almost got 20 deck lists for this as well. And this has been a really fun tournament. I think there's a lot of different decks that are viable right now, and I'm excited to go over these as well in a little bit more detail later in this video. But if you also played in this tournament and you have your own 6-1 or better deck list, you can use the form right here on the page. Just click this right here, brings up this Google sheet, and you just fill this out, and then I will feature you on the page as well. So a lot of people have already submitted that, and that's how a lot of this has been built. But I want to kind of feature these deck lists, especially since I think this format is really wide open on leaders and decks that are viable, but also just kind of having this database as we're approaching the first kind of big events at the end of March for this card game too. So make sure to check that out if you guys haven't already. I'm going to continue to update as we go, and let's quickly look at the updates for the online client. All right, so real quick, I do just want to run through this since I know some people are a little bit confused on what this is and what it means. But essentially, if you go to mode select, you can go to this event match here, and then we have this kind of queue here. So you have 7 battles. It's just 7 and you're done, and you try to get as many points as you can as well. I streamed my run, which you guys can find in the description for that as well, with the starter deck Daima Goku. I went 6-1 during my 7 battles, so I got 61 points, 10 points for every win, and 1 point for every loss. So we got 61, and we're currently tied for 103rd place. So you can see the rankings that 70 is the best points you can get for it, and a lot of people have that right now. And so what? Oh, I think we literally just dropped another between opening this page and not. So one more person just got a 7-0 streak with it. But kind of how it works from there is that we do have our rewards. You do get this promo that you don't get anywhere else. So for no other reasons, you should be playing this a couple times. There's no negatives for it. There's only positives. Even if you don't qualify, you get some gems, and then you also get some of these anniversary tickets as well. So in the store, you can also find the usage for these as well. So you go to this anniversary pack. These are kind of like promos that we get in the real world from like tournament packs and stuff. So I would say like some of these cards are pretty playable. I think like this Cell Jr. is really good, as well as potentially like the a Lonesome Final Battle. There's also like It's Over. Some people play this as well. So all these are like moderately viable cards from the set one. I think this one has a couple better cards, specifically Hercule, especially because Satan City is really strong right now. This card is very good, as well as the rest of these cards here. I think this is like Satan City, and then I know Yellow Vegeta's been a little bit on the rise lately, so Time Rewound would be another good card there. So I think you can do that. You can just keep playing afterwards. So after your 7th match, you can continue playing in the little event there, and all that means is that every win you get another anniversary 1 or 2 pack, so you can use that as well. So I think that's helpful. It's until the end of March, so you have a lot of ways to kind of grind for these if you want. So I also want to say, I didn't know this until I went live, but this anniversary set is really, really nice. Like I think this is the best product they've ever released in this online store. Like we've got like the FB05 constructed decks, which I made a video on, and the upgrade packs, which these are pretty good too if you're missing out some of your secret rare or super rares from this. But this anniversary set is super nice. Like it is half cosmetics for some of these cards, but these are really, really good cards. Like all these cards are usable. They're all gorgeous. They're very strong in their own way. The commons are all just like all arts of like cards you get from starter decks, but like look how good this art is. It is fantastic. You get, since most decks don't really care about what super rare super combo you get so many of these like great all art super combos that are just generically good for every color. And then these super rares, all of these cards are viable except for maybe this Gohan, or their Gotenks. Maybe it should have been the 4-drop Gohan from Saiyan City. This is the worst one, but this card has been, you know, instrumental for me with Goku. 1718 is a really good card you play a couple copies of. We have the 4-drop Son Goku, which is like the biggest staple card for any yellow deck right now, which is really strong. We have the 2-drop Pan, which black has been using this card pretty often. And then lastly, we have the Great Ape Baby, which most decks are playing a couple copies of this. So generally speaking, all these cards are fantastic. Highly recommend getting them if you haven't already. And I think it's something that's a really good product for them too. So I'm not sponsored. I really do think that this is a great product. And the only reason I haven't bought it is because I want to save up gems. I started the season at 0 since I cashed out for all of my FB05 packs. And since the release of FB05, I've gotten 1,300 gems. So it should just take me another week or two to be able to earn that from just playing every day, which is nice. And it's just 2,000 for there, which you can also spend money for if you want to. And I think like from all the things that are on this set, like this is probably the best way to spend money, since you just get these guaranteed super rares that are not only gorgeous, but they are pretty usable in their own ways. So make sure to check that out if you haven't already. And let's go through the deck list that I've been able to find from this event as well. All right, so we've got 9 different leaders across all 5 colors that exist in this card game, and we're going to go over my favorite list personally from all of them as well, but there are definitely a lot of other lists you guys can find, and I think these are really good just kind of templates for anyone trying to get into this card game and or just finding a good build to jump into and play with as well. So we're going to start off with my own. So this is the Son Goku Mini Daima that I use in my own run. Again, I did live stream my entire run. I went 6-1 with this. The one loss was super winnable, and it's spoilers. I went through 30 plus cards in my deck and I didn't see any copies of my secret rare despite running 4 of. So I think that was a little bit upsetting for it. But I also will say that I did probably have a little bit of an easier run. As you guys might will see, like we didn't play against, I think, a really tough matchup one way or the other. But I also think that's just part of the power of the Son Goku Mini Daima right now. This is the star deck one. So this is the one that gives the plus 5k and minus 5k on the backside. And I think that one's just generally better than what we're looking at for the FB05 Goku. So I think it's personal preference. I like this one a little bit more since we have a little bit more control aspect. Obviously, our Glorios are like a little bit worse in those situations, but not terribly worse, right? Like you just have to give it like a 5k, which if we're playing Tournament of Power Arena, which we are, the first one is free, and so you're only like missing out on one like 5k on the second attack with it. So I think that this is the best way to build and play this deck too. I don't feel like there's any matchups that I have like a really hard time against generically, and we just have a lot of flexibility in our plays, especially since the removal in this deck is so strong. Like we can remove pretty much every card in the game that isn't like a barrier, Frieza, or Boo, which is really great. I feel like against Majin Buu, it's not a negative matchup either. I didn't play against the Majin Buu during my run, but historically on the rank ladder with this deck, I have a winning, just a positive win rate against that deck too, where we just play really slowly. We don't let them awaken us early, and then we don't let them get the additional value from their like Majin Buu Babidi combos. So I think this deck is great. I've been playing a lot of it. You can find a lot of gameplay from it. I will say like the biggest card that I've been kind of standing right now is this Vegeta. This card's been really, really strong in a lot of situations, and I found out like a great way to take the advantage of this the best. So you know, it has this: when attacking, discard 2 cards from your hand until the end of your opponent's next turn. This card can't be KO'd and gets plus 3k power. So there are some matchups where they can remove this, specifically like blue can bounce it back to your hand. If you're playing against black, they can use like Great Ape Baby to combo with it, right? So that is something that's a little bit tricky, but something like yellow really can't interact with it. Green can't really interact with it. And because of that, you can use this effect. You can get the effect. Also, if you're playing against like the mirror match in red, unless they give it like minus 50k power, they also cannot remove this either. So we use this on turn 5, and then we can use the activate main to get rid of a 25k power or less, which works really well with our leader effect, since most cards are like 30k. So we can give something minus 5k, and then Vegeta can pop it, which is great. But even on like 3 energy, just being able to use this to get rid of a 3-drop Majin Buu is really good too. But then also, so we do this on 5, and then what you can do is that on 6 you play your Son Goku. This card is definitely worth playing 4 copies of. It is the most important card for our deck. We just want to get to the point where we can continually drop this card and just feel like we're safe, not going to lose at any point. This card is just insane, right? So the fact that we can do that But the biggest issue with it is that it only gives minus 20k power, right? So if you're in a situation where there's something like minus, the 30k power or more, we have a hard time removing that in the same turn we play the 6-drops on Goku. So that's why this Vegeta has been really strong. So we can play this, we can keep it on the board, and then the next turn with the combination of our attack and then our leader effect, we can technically get rid of a 50k power or less. So it's been very strong in those situations. Sometimes just like attacking as a 20k and then using it to pop one of our opponent's cards is worth it, and it just helps us get to the late game a little bit more stably. So I've been playing this. I've been kind of tinkering around if the Son Goku Mini Daima is better or the 2-drop hit. I've been running two copies at times too, but generally speaking, I think they're about the same in those ways. So it's up to you on that point, but I have a lot more opinions about this deck because I've been playing like 20 plus games with it, but I think it's very strong, and it's a very good deck in this format in general. So there it is. And then our other red deck, this is Jiren, which I was surprised about how popular this leader still is in this format. This is DeluxePhilCheeze's version of it, and it's kind of the same thing as like what I'm doing. Like our top end's looking really similar, where we have our 6-drop Goku, right? We try to just be really defensive. We have like our 3-drops on Gohan Adolescence. This being able to give minus 10k to the board is really good, especially against like Saiyan City, where they go pretty wide with that kind of stuff. So I think that's something that helps the deck and is good in its own way. We are running some removal from like the God Kamehameha, and again, I really do like Tournament of Power Arena. If you're a really like slow defensive red deck, just being able to use this card to get to, I feel like games are going longer, right? Like we get to 6-7 energy pretty often, and if we play this as soon as we can on 2, think of this as like a draw 1 every turn. So if we play 6 additional turns with this card like draws us 6 cards, which is insane for where it is. There's not a lot of aggressive decks that go like super quick and fast at the beginning, where this, using this as your entire setup turn is bad. And I think that just helps out the deck quite a lot. So the only thing is that like this deck does rely on 4-drop Jiren a little bit more, and this has been like the weakest format where this exists. But I do think this still has like a really good matchup into Majin Buu specifically, which has been pretty common on the ladder lately. And even though like most builds aren't playing like 4-drop Frieza, or sorry, 4-drop Frieza to remove this, they have to still like double grade Eruption, or the final explosion on that. So I do think that that's something that that helps this deck in that situation, and it's something worth noting. So this is a build from Phil, and congratulations for their finish with Jiren. And the next up, you've got Zamasu. So this is God Tier's version of the deck, and this deck is like really obnoxious if they see all their pieces. This is just supposed to be like super slow, grindy, like control heavy. Just try to get to the late game as consistently as possible, and then we just drop like these Vegitos, these Vegetas, and also Zenos and Goku Black. So you just try to get to the end game really consistently and just kind of outvalue your opponent, mostly off the back of like the Pilaf combo, which we're talking about blue decks in the next couple 3. Like this card is still really good. I still say like every video is like this card can probably go away. I don't think blue loses its ability to win games still, but man, this card is still very, very present as what it is. So other than that, I think that this has been kind of the evolution of blue over the last couple sets, where we are just able to get to the late game very consistently. We have a lot of ways to just not lose out on value. Zeno being the board wipe is really great, which when we play red, this is one of the few ways that people can consistently get rid of our Tournament of Power Arena, which is kind of scary. And I think this is a deck that it just has like a lot of removal, a lot of options. I feel like Galactic Donut is better than usual right now, since more people are just playing like one big tall boy every game, and so that helps you get to your later game and helps you a lot. So which is really, really nice. So I don't have much more to say. I think this deck is still very strong, and we just have like blue decks are kind of all looking like this, kind of like everyone's running like an Earthling package, and then what's the best way to take advantage of it. So this is God Tier's version, and then we've got BrolyxCl's version, which he's been playing a lot of Fusion World lately. He's been playing in my events as well and did well on our previous one. So I do think there's not a lot of diversity on how this Goku's built right now. This is generally how it looks for most people. You just try to max out on your Saiyan City cards, right, and then being able to use the rest of the deck to help get there. So we are running like the Great Saiyaman 1 and 2 package, which I think is fine for the deck. Being able to play this for 4 just means like you get to play out the Great Saiyaman off your drop, and then sometimes just being able to establish 2 bodies and then using this card. It's crazy how good this card has been lately. Like worst case, just being able to use 1 energy to get rid of like a 2 cost is already good. but it's so recyclable. It's a 1-drop Earthling, right? So you can get it back with peel off. You can use Sharpener to play it for free, which is dumb, and then obviously Videl can get it back too. So this deck's been like the epitome of just like grinding for value. It's so strong. This card being able to draw and then like you being able to re-get it and then draw again is just dumb. And I find like this deck often gets to points where they're just at like 5 cards in the left of their deck, and you're like, man, they must have all 4 cards of their super combos right now. Like it's pretty difficult to not see that consistently from there. So not much more to say, but congratulations to Broly's version of the Son Goku. And then to finish off blue, we do have the Vegito. So this is John Argyros' build. And if you guys don't know John Argyros, he's been playing Dragon Ball card games for a long time. Still probably plays Masters as well, but he's been essentially as long as I've been playing Bandai card games, he's been playing them in Oceania. And he's been playing a lot of Vegito. So he's been doing well at locals. He's been doing, he got the God rank with a list like this one. And I really do like what Vegito does. I think it is a deck that has like some minor consistency issues compared to other blue decks, but it does also have like a higher ceiling in a lot of ways too. So kind of the bigger thing for this one is that you are not as like restricted for being at 7 or less cards in hand. You still have effects like Peel Off and Sun Gohan Adolescence where it's really important, but we also have cards like Savior of the World, which being able to run essentially 4 super combos is a little bit crazy in a deck like this, which can be so defensive in a lot of ways. Being able to recycling it with Peel Off is really good, and I think that's just been very, very strong for this deck. So generally, from my kind of playstyle for this is that we just kind of get to the late game consistently. We just kind of grind for value very slowly, and then we just try to like control the board in our own way. So this deck does have like its built-in double strike archetype, which we don't really get from a lot of these. Like Zamasu, we are playing the Vegeta Daima, and we're playing this card specifically because we get that extra draw, which is usually pretty easy to go get for going for game. We also do have like Son Goku, which double strike doesn't exist, but like you can just ping down your opponent for 1 with like Final Hope / loops. And so like being able to use this deck to say, you know what, I have this 40k attack. If you ever go down to 2 life, I'm going to be playing Son Goku with Vegeta and just make it to like the 120k plus. Like you just have to be really, really careful on how much cards you're giving them from your life, because they can just hit you down very quickly. So 5-drop Vegito is really great at doing that too. 230k attacks after already a 40k attack from the leader is very strong. And the only issue is that, you know, we've all been there. We play this, we flip 10 cards off the top of our deck, and we hit 3 super combos, and we just feel like we lose, right? So I think this deck is still really strong. There's a lot of great ways to take advantage of this package. One last card I'll say is that we do have the Awakenings of Super Saiyan Rosé. This is a 3-drop extra card, so this is important that you can play off the 3-drop Goku. Choose all cards with Earthling and their special traits in their battle areas and return them to their owner's hand. Then if you return 3 or more, you get to draw 2. So there are some like weird combos where if you're playing against something like Satan City specifically, or even against like Green Goku, since they do play a lot of Earthlings too, you just return them all to your opponent's hand. You get to draw 2. And technically you played it for free off this Son Goku, which is really nice. So I also like Goku Black as like our end game like bully card, right? This just helps you find your pieces, especially like your 3-card combo, right? You need Vegeta, Son Goku, and also your CU. And so Vegeta can find 1 copy of either one of these, but if you need to find both of them, you can do that. And technically, right, like you don't even need to play Vegeta. He's just like a bonus, like plus 30k. But I've won games before where I play Goku Black, use it to play Son Goku for free, use the effect to take a life, and then play CU afterwards and just do a still just giant double strike just from cards that are in my hand. So I think this deck is great. I've been wanting to explore more of it, and congratulations to John for their finish with Vegito. The next up, we've got Son Goku, and so we've got Vick with their version of it, and Vick did win my previous tournament with a similar version of Son Goku, and he's still been experimenting with different builds and how to play it. And it's been a bit of a tough nut for me to crack personally. I think there's a lot of ways to get value. Green hasn't really been viable outside of 17-18 since like set 1, right? So having like this new different style for playing green is something where people are kind of reevaluating a lot of cards. Green does have like a lot of value cards like Hercule as well as Cell Jr. to be able to get that additional card draw and find your pieces, especially since Cell Jr. can get you Dr. Brief's Spaceship, which lets you draw 2 cards, so that loop is really, really strong. We do have like the Nappa, which lets us ramp, the Krillin, which lets us ramp. We have the Grade 8 Vegeta as well. So on play, place 1 card for your energy in its owner's drop. If your leader has Saiyan in its special trait, choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards, cost of 5 or less, and KO it, which honestly, this card's not too bad. Even though like it's like a 40k double strike and 6 energy is quite a lot, it just means like sometimes we don't have to go down to 2 life as soon as possible, which I think is really strong for this deck too. And just having like this bully card that we can get advantage for is I think really helpful, especially since it is still a 5k. So it's something that I've been trying to incorporate in my own builds and get some advantage from. We are playing Kami and Bulma as well. This is I think helpful for getting rid of Whis specifically, which has been quite a terror in some of my matches I've been playing. And yeah, I think this deck is still like really wide open. There's a lot of like staple cards you have to run, but it's been interesting to see different people play this and how they go for it. It's one of the more unique decks in this game, which I think is really fun and cool. So this is the build here from Vick, and congratulations for their finish in their run there. And then we've got Yellow, which you guys probably have your own opinions about Majin Buu Evil. This deck has been a menace in this set, which is really weird. It was moderately good, right? Like it was probably top 5 in FB04. It wasn't like the best deck by any regard. And then it didn't really get any new cards, but then now it's just really, really strong because of the field that the game is right now. It just has a lot of fantastic matchups, which is really interesting. So newest card though that we got is Janemba, which this is not like guaranteed, but most people are playing a couple copies of this one. This card just kind of does everything, right? It rests something, you get an energy back, the fact that it's a 5k, 25k. This card's really, really good, especially like if you don't see your Majin Buu Evil with Babidi combo early on into the game. We also have the Majin Ku and Do, which currently isn't released in person, but it is in the online client. This just being a 10k Majin that also lets you just play it and discard one card from your opponent's hand is very strong as well. And I think part of the reason this deck is really good for this format too is the fact that we like the Majin Buu Kid and Babidi combo where you play the double strike 30k and the Babidi. If you're at 3 life, it is near impossible to get out of like that amount of pressure. Like you have to have like a lot of good combo cards and just like a really big hand, or otherwise you just kind of lose in that scenario. So I do think that's something that is that's helpful for Majin Buu right now. It's a very optimized deck. So into this format where there's a lot of new decks and unoptimized leaders and builds, this deck's going to really shine. It's going to be interesting to see if it continues to do as well as it does, but it is definitely one of the bullies for this game right now, and it's just really, really strong. So make sure to check that out if you haven't already. There's a lot of Majin Buu Evils. You can also play it like a little bit, this is like a more aggressive build. You can play it like a little bit more control-y by having like the 4-drop Friezas. I've even seen like a copy or two of like the 6-drop Frieza in some builds, so you can check that out too. But this is Kebbon's version of the build. Congratulations for their finish with Buu. And then next up we've got Janemba. So this is biomojo's version of it. And I've been wanting to just restart all of my experience with Janemba. I think it's a really strong deck right now, but it's been weird to find what's the best balance for it, right? And most people are playing it like we see with biomojos with a small Majin Buu package. The fact that the 3-drop Majin Buu Evil is just like a really good card for value, especially since this is a deck that plays so many 1-drops due to our kind of like our energy renewal here. So generally speaking, most of the time your opponent will never end with something active on their board because you can just rest it for free. So the two energy thing for this Janemba almost never comes up. I find unless they like play 2 blockers, which again is not very common, it just never really comes up for it. So generally speaking, the best way to take advantage of this is just play a lot of these 1-drop draw cards. So you kind of supplement there. It means more that you get like 1 free energy a turn instead of 2, but you still get your card draw, which is really nice. And then you just try to bully them down with value and advantage. So I think the other thing is that most people kind of played builds where you just try to awaken as soon as possible. I don't think that's necessarily the best case anymore. I think you try to just be like you just try to like systematically take cards from your life to your hand until it makes sense to awaken, and then you just try to play more of a control-y matchup too. So we do play the 4-drop Frieza, but only 2 copies instead of like the 4. I saw a lot of people, including myself, play the start. We have the golden Frieza, which there are a lot of decks that this does put a lot of stops to. Green Goku has been ruled to be coming to rest, so it does that. This red Goku that I play in my Diamond list hates to see this card hit the field, so that's something you have to take advantage, be aware of. And then Bio Broly's still been really good. So I personally want to just try to re-examine this deck, though. I think there's a lot of great value from it, and it's just kind of tricky to find the best way to play this deck in this current format. But this is Biomojo's build. Congratulations for their finish with Janemba. And then wrap it up, we've got Cody's version of Baby Vegeta. And Black's just kind of like in a weird spot right now. I don't really think the cards that we got from this set were generically good for the color. Like Gogeta has been like waveringly good in a lot of ways. I do think a lot of it being, not being able to draw from Awakening has been like a really big hamper for the deck right now, which maybe it will overcome in the future, but Baby Vegeta is just generically really good in its own way. So Cody's build is running more of like the GT package, being able to use your effects to just play some big bodies on board. Some newer cards we have are one, the Bulma GT from the set. This card's fantastic. This is just like another Self-Awakener, which is really strong. The fact that you can get some good value from it, the fact that it's a 10k in your hand, all of this kind of adds up together where this card is very, very strong right here. And then we also just have like our Trunks GT, which is great. Son Goten GT to be able to get rid of stuff like Jiren if your opponent's playing against that. We also have the Ultimate Sparking, which this card is one of the best ways to take advantage of like your opponent playing Majin Buu and being really aggressive against you, is that you can play this and then, if you removed an energy marker to use this card, choose up to one battle card in your opponent's battle area and it can't attack for the turn. So if they play 5-drop Buu, Bobbity, and 3-drop Majin Buu Kid, and they attack with the Majin Buu Kid, you Ultimate Sparking to get out of the attack, you stun their 5-drop, and then they just can't do anything anymore, which is really strong. So I think that's something that helps the deck out quite a lot to be able to stabilize against one of the bigger threats for the game. Ultimate Sparking against Blue is fine, right? Like they just kind of systematically play their cards, but to be able, like being able to interact with a board that is already existent like that, I think is strong for Baby Vegeta or any just black deck right now that generates markers like Gogeta as well. So otherwise than that, I think like this deck just gets a lot of value. I do think Grade 8 Baby is like the strongest it's ever been. This has been really good against a lot of decks right now. Being able to combo and get rid of a lot of sticky threats on the board is really strong, which is great. And even just like there's been some times too where you're at 5 life, Grade 8 Baby to play this in Bulma GT. You use Bulma's effect to draw a card and add a card from your life to your hand. Then you awaken, you can attack with leader, combo with Bulma GT to get 30k, and then Grade 8 Baby to get rid of the other thing. Like there's just like really good combos I think that exist right now with the deck still. So I don't have much more to say. Congratulations to Cody for their finish and for getting their 6-1 finish with the Baby Vegeta. But that's going to be it for me. Again, these are just the deck lists that I have right now, but there's a lot that I didn't go over, and it will continue to update this page as we get more information too. But I think this is a really fun meta. There's a lot of decks that are very viable right now, and it's been a lot of fun. So make sure to check it out if you haven't already. Let me know how you guys did in these tournaments too, and we'll catch you all next time.
Damn it. Damn it.